What it is, it's your boy from the ranch. Welcome back to the channel, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you watch this garbage. So, I drug in an interesting one. This one's kind of got me a little stumped, but I believe I found the problem. 93 Dodge Dakota, towed it in. They stopped at a gas station with gas in it, said it wouldn't start. I instantly thought, I probably got a bad fuel pump. 93, the truck been sitting for a bunch of years. Well, here's the weird thing. I finally was fooling with it last night. I spent a little bit of time on it. And I actually had it running, and it was running horrible. Like full rich. I did not have my scan tool hooked to it. Tonight I hooked my scan tool to it. Of course, the battery died in the scan tool, but I managed to get a couple codes out of it. And they were just weird injector codes. But what I noticed was strange was when I was cranking on it, the tack would go all the way, would peg. As you're cranking on it, it would peg and just start bouncing. It was crazy. If you stopped cranking it and left the key on, all 6 injectors were sitting here clicking. And you could hear the fuel pump running. Fuel pump stays on. And it had this weird buzzing sound. I'm like, what is that buzzing sound? It's the coil actually sending pulse to the distributor. So I unplugged the distributor. Still doing it. I unplugged the coil. It stopped buzzing. Strange. Plugged the coil back in. Started buzzing again. Unplugged the crank sensor. All 6 injectors stopped, and the crazy buzzing sound, which the buzzing sound is actually the coil sending power to through the cap to the rotor. Well, the whole time it's doing all this crazy weird stuff, all 6 injectors are sitting there clicking with the fuel pump running. I go to try to start it one more time, and it goes clunk. So I got thinking, ooh, they're all running. They're dumping fuel in there. So pull the dipstick. It's way up there on the dipstick. Way up there. So this thing probably has a gallon of gas in the crankcase. So I thought, I better stop while I'm ahead. So I pulled all the plugs out, killed the coil, and actually it dried up. Spun the motor over. You can't really see it on the floor. It blew gas all out on the floor. I mean, it blew it all out. All 6 cylinders. All 6 cylinders are full of fuel. I believe my problem is actually the crank sensor. So I'm going to get a crank sensor for it tomorrow morning and put a crank sensor in and see if it'll fire up. Well, I got to change the oil in it too because it's filling it up with fuel. Real strange problem. I haven't seen one of them do that before, but it was firing all 6 injectors. It had spark and making the fuel pump stay on. Now I could pull the automatic shutdown relay and the fuel pump relay. Obviously, it would stop running. Plug them back in and it wouldn't do nothing until you cycle the key and crank it again. But the dead giveaway is the tack going crazy. So there'll be a part 2. We'll see if that straightens this thing out. So we'll see here tomorrow morning. Well, actually tomorrow afternoon. Sit tight. We'll see what happens. What it is. Well, unfortunately, it's not day 2. It's actually day 3. I had to special order the crank sensor. This Dakota is a 3.9 with a stick shift. Stick shift crank sensor is different from an automatic. Napa, Advance, even the dealer, nobody had one stock. And actually, believe it or not, Advance got it the next day, which I was really surprised. Everybody else was like a week out. So I just got done installing it, changed the oil. Like I said, it is a stick shift. Let me push the clutch in. It's alive. It runs pretty good. I mean, it's got a time and chain rattle. If you know anything about these 3.9s or even 5.9s gas motors, they all have, when they get miles on, they all have a time and chain slap because the little sheet metal guide, plastic and all wears out or breaks up, falls apart. But I towed it in for a no start. This thing didn't run at all. Like I said earlier in the video, it was a strange problem. It was causing all 6 injectors to fire. It was causing it to have spark and the fuel pump to stay on. That's why it filled the crankcase up. And I mean, it filled the crankcase up. The 6-quart pan, and it's filled to the top. I've already spilled it trying to move it. So, yeah, it's a mess. But if anything, it gave it a bath on the inside. But she's alive, and that fixed it for this one. On to the next, because there's plenty of them here. And mind you, I work a 40-hour work week and come home to this stuff. But thankfully, that is empty for once. And this one behind me will be empty. So look, holler at your boy. Keep it reals. Hit that like, subscribe buttons. And I'll talk to you on the next one, all right? I'm out.